Welcome to Life, Lafter, Divorce Podcast, episode 49. I am your host, Leanne Linsky.
And I am the boyfriend.
And we are back for another wonderful week of divorce.
Did we go anywhere?
Well, just whatever. Hey, so we are back and welcome. We're very excited about the second part of the interview with Larry and Christina Johnson. So while you're tuning in and settling in, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe, unless, of course, you're driving. And while you're out there, check us out.
You got to change that. We got to find some other...
Why?
Why? Because I think people... It's 2018 now. People know not to do that when they're driving.
We've had this conversation. Nobody cares. Crickets. Cue the crickets.
I think that should be our question of the week.
What? Do you
text and drive?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Question of the week. Do you text and drive?
So when you respond to this via Instagram or whatever, you respond.
Let us know if you're driving right now.
Yes.
But we're not encouraging it. I just want to be clear. I don't want you texting and driving. All right. So be safe.
Please.
Rate, review, and subscribe when you're at your desk or in a safe zone, not in your car, unless you're a passenger. Or
I'm just laughing at safe zone. Safe zone.
Well,
That sounds like a therapy thing.
I don't know.
Go to your safe zone.
Just be safe, y'all. So, hey, rate, review, and subscribe. And be sure to check us out at lifelafterdivorce.com and check out our online store with all your self-care products like soaps and candles. Well, I would recommend checking it out. Boyfriend, you like the soaps and the candles.
Yeah, and I'm all out. We burned them up over the holidays, and now I'm out. So I'm going to have to restock.
Hook you up.
Yeah.
You're going to have to buy some more. I'll take your money after.
No, I'll go to lifelafterdivorce.com, and I will go through the store, and I will purchase.
And I will ship it to you via the United States Postal Service.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what does that take? 4 or 5 days to get to me?
Just like 2.
Okay.
It should be fairly quick if I put it in there in the morning. So yeah, we're pretty efficient around here. Well, welcome back. We're very excited to have part 2 of our interview with Larry and Christina Johnson. And if you haven't listened to the first part yet, highly recommend checking out episode 48 so you can learn all about the background, how they met, and what happened from the first month of their marriage onward. And this episode, I'm pretty excited to say that we learned about how they've navigated their way through this with 7 children.
And became stronger through it.
Yeah.
Which is to me still impressive every time I hear the story.
I know. I've listened to this one a couple of times and I would just sit here and think, whoa, wow. I gave up really easily in comparison. So good stuff here, you guys. I hope you enjoyed as much as we did. Larry and Christina Johnson, without further ado.
I'm just going to say that I was very bad to him. I mean, I flipped the switch and went smooth off on him. I had him come with me to the store to pick the lingerie.
Yeah.
That is how bad
That's
I dogged him out.
And she's like, yeah, this is where I'm going to stay. And I'm sitting there going like, okay, you know what? I deserve this. I did this. This is okay. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to have to take. And so, of course, I'm like really trying to, and I'm still pushing this other person away.
And he still said he was fine.
And I'm saying I'm okay with this behavior.
Yeah.
And I'm self-medicating with this other relationship, even though it's just a verbal relationship. And this person's trying to pour everything into me like, look, you know this is going on. Why are you being so stupid? Why don't you just come be with me? And I'm like, no, I can't do that. And I'm feeling guilty. So I've got guilt. I've got pain. And I'm letting this stuff happen to me. And I'm not telling her. She's like, no, we're just going to talk. I'm like, bullshit. I know what happens because I had already done this. And I didn't tell her. And this time, she didn't even know I had did the thing with my with
he still had
Beatrice.
a lot of stuff he didn't tell.
I had never disclosed that I had actually had that kind of weekend affair kind of thing.
Well, Christina, if Larry had shown jealousy, or
all he had to do was say stop.
Yeah,
because all I wanted him to do was stop doing what he was doing.
You wanted him to care.
Yeah. That's all I wanted. And he waited until the last possible second to change.
So
you remember earlier you were saying something about how long did it take you to change your number? Until the night I slept with someone else.
That's when he changed
his number.
Well,
yes.
That's
yes,
why I changed that number.
It was when he changed his number. So he had
several different numbers, but that's
many different ways for people to come out of the woodwork and come back. Up until that moment, that is when he changed everything. He went to church. He wasn't trying to go to church before. He went to church and cried at the church. He was upset. He thought that I was going to leave him and take all the kids with me, and move to that other state. And I was just like, you wait until I.
Well, I wasn't afraid of you taking the kids
all the way. This is what you told the people there, but I would just say that. To me, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. I told you I was going to leave you. I told you I was going to divorce you. I kicked you out the house. You wait until I'm here with another guy to tell me that now you're going to do things right. So I really thought we were completely and utterly done. And he was so messed up. That I said, I would never leave you, totally messed up alone. I haven't progressed this as far as I can. So, I'll come home, we'll settle things, and we'll part as friends, and we'll decide how we're going to take care of things. And so I went home, and he did a 180 at home. He went back to church. He apologized for everything. And that marriage proposal that he did over the phone, he redid with a ring on his knees at a restaurant. And he did a 180 to my utter surprise. And wanted to go back to counseling. So we did that. But I truly did not believe that he was going to change. I just said, okay, how long is it going to take for him to mess up again? And he did. He did mess up again. But I think every step of the way, we learned something new. In the conversations, and every step of the way, it seemed like we got closer to God because we messed up so bad. I mean, just royally messed up to the point where we just didn't know how to fix anything. And we really just went to God to try and put things back, and we didn't know how. There was no trust. There was no trust whatsoever. He had cheated. Now I had cheated. I don't care what anybody says. When you cheat, you bring some of the person into your marriage, and it lingers. Yeah. And it does not go away completely. There is a scar that is left from each and every infidelity. And together we have almost double-digit infidelities in our marriage. And there was beyond hurt there.
And the trust thing, it goes both ways. It's like, well, I'll put it like this. It goes both ways and it goes inside. So she didn't trust me. After her episode, I didn't trust her. I understood her because I'd been there, but I didn't trust her. But then you don't trust yourself, which is really weird because there's like, can I do things that I used to do? Can I be the person that I want to be when am I going to make this mistake again? So there's always this constant fear of when
who's
you're
going to mess up.
Yeah, that's like a running gag with us. I guess it's your turn, right? It's your turn to screw this up. And we say, okay, well, so once we took divorce off the table and we had got some room away from the pain, we were like, okay, whose turn is it to mess up next?
The final counseling, I think, was a real turning point for us because we thought we were completely broken. There was no trust. And Larry was going to go to counseling for himself because I had gone to counseling for myself. We had been to many marriage counselors before, and I was like, "What's the point? You're all messed up." So he started to go at USC, and because he now was going to USC, I had already graduated, and they had an excellent program there, and they. In his counseling session, they brought me to do a dual session together for our marriage. And because he had agreed in the past to do counseling when I wanted to stay in the marriage, I agreed this time to go with him.
Because I wanted to stay.
Because he wanted to stay in the marriage. And so I thought fair is fair. It's the least I could do. So we went, and there was an exercise that they had there where you filled out this paper with things that you liked and disliked about your parents when you lived with them. And you put down all the things that you had a problem with, that you loved about your mom and your dad, and things that you wish that you could have changed. And then you did that the first day, and then you came back the next day and they gave you a different paper. And this paper was about your spouse. And they read off the sentences about your spouse, things you liked about your spouse and things that drew you to your spouse based on what you liked and disliked about your parents. And it was like a total fit. So you choose the person with all the problems that you didn't like about your parents. Like you choose that person
to fix your childhood
so that you may overcome it. And so that just blew my mind because up until that point, I think, and there might be lots of people who struggle with this, you go, well, I must not have chosen the right person. I must have made a mistake, and this is all wrong. It's not how a marriage is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to be like that. And when we did that exercise, both he and I were in tears because it showed that we picked each other purposefully, and that there was something that could be done about it. And we were finally with some people who could explain what the heck was happening here. And they would talk about, okay, when you get these triggers, these fears that you had from when you were a kid, you act out a certain way and you act out that way as an adult. So instead of acting out that way as an adult, you now have control. And so you don't have to act out that way. And you can be different. And so that was complete change. After that, we took time to, it just took time to first heal because there was a lot of pain. And so time just had to go by. I remember I did some online divorce thing where I paid for the divorce and I filled out the paperwork, and all I had to do was press the button to get things going, and I just didn't. And he was staying at the house just because he had run out of money or whatever, and so he was at the house, and we were just with each other. You know, we had all the kids, and we just said, okay, well, we can live in the same house for the time being. until I file for divorce, and let's try and keep things good for the kids. And we were still friends, and we still joked, and we still played. But day after day, once we each let go of each other and just try to let things fall where they may, slowly but surely, through our relationship with God and learning in following the way God wants married couples to be to one another, slowly but surely the pain started to subside. And we started to see that when something was wrong, when the other person was hurt by something, or we could tell something was wrong, we would say something. And we learned that you could clear it, whatever the thing was that the person was upset about or hurt about. So if he thought that I was thinking about the other guy, he would act a certain way. I would notice it. In the past, if something like that would happen, I would just ignore him because I'm mad at him. And I wouldn't want to make him happy. But now, I would see it and I would talk to him and I would go, I think you're upset. And, if you tell me what you're upset about, then maybe we could talk about it and we could clear it. And then you won't think about it as much anymore. And so I would do that for him. He would do that for me. And so we got to a point where he wasn't defensive anymore when I asked about, well, where were you? Or I said I was hurt about something, because he realized he could clear it and then it wouldn't be a big thing anymore.
Yeah. So so funny, a few weeks ago, just to give you an example of that. So a few weeks ago, we were at an event with a client of mine, and what my client, coworker kind of situation, asked me to straighten out something on her dress. And my wife saw me straighten out her stuff on my dress. And so she comes home and she's upset. I'm like, what's going on? And she said, well, I don't like you pampering that woman. I'm like, pampering? What? Who was I pampering? She's like, what was petting, caring, pampering, whatever. So it was something being gentlemanly or overly fond of, not fondling. I said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I said, I straightened out dude's collar and then I gave so-and-so a hug. When did you see me doting on this person? She said, no, I saw you. I said, oh, she asked me to straighten this strap out on her shoulders. I wasn't fixing her up. She asked me to do it. I said, and I thought you were talking about when I was taking pictures, because I was taking pictures of all my people. I said, when I took her picture and I pulled her dress out because it was pushed up and made the picture look bad. She's like, I didn't even see you do that. I said, I saw you do it. So I said, oh no, she asked me to do that. I wasn't just like petting her. And so it's little bitty things that can be completely thrown out of proportion and could have lasted for weeks and blown up to, well, I can't even have business relationships with this person based on a perception. But instead of me getting defenses, like, no, let's examine this. Let's tear this apart. And what did you see? Okay, what time was it? Okay, this is the background. This is what's going on. It's like, oh, okay, well, I don't feel so stupid now. Come on, let's go to bed and we'll roll up and go to sleep. And so it's what T says about you have to tear this stuff apart. And it's hard not to be defensive, even till to this day, because when you're broken and you're putting yourself back together, there's always those fractures and there's always those scars, and you can easily fall back into old patterns. And one thing we're extremely cognizant of is that just because we move past some stuff and we're in a different place, if we're not careful, we can very easily slide back to those places. I mean, I'm old enough now, and I lived enough life when I was single to where I walk around and I'm like, okay, what if anybody pops up in my past? What would I say? What would I say today if somebody else, if there's a Debbie and Evelyn and Fiona and Gertrude and Henrietta were to come up, how would I deal with that stuff today differently than I dealt with in the past. And, you know, you could want to say and you want to believe that you go, no, leave me alone. I'm married. Hold up my ring of power and you shall go away from me forever. Yeah. But it's not true, because people come at you and they're like, hey, how you doing? And no, I don't mean any harm to your life, but I just want to say hi. You're looking good, because when you're married, you look really good to people for some reason. You look way better to them when you're married than you do when you're single. But you have to go, okay, well, I would say thank you. It's very nice to see you. Hope life is treating you well. Have a good day. I'm not going down. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, the funny hat, and I'm not going back down that road again, because it is that. And then you have to come home and not keep it a secret that you ran into that person, because secrets are like Facebook. They're like the death of people. When you keep secrets, especially when you're afraid of what the other person's going to think, you keep a secret because your plan is not to hurt the other person with what happened or what might have happened or what could have happened. You don't want to send her. I don't want to send her in a tailspin because I saw so-and-so. And she'll be thinking, oh, I saw her and I got her number and this is going to turn into this and this is going to turn into that. Same way with me, she say, okay, when old boy would call her or he'd send a text message, she have to debate. Do I want to tell Larry that I got this text message? Do I want to tell him that he called today? Because it's going to send him down the road, which would trigger me into some kind of behavior. And so it's like you're playing off somebody and you're triggering all these things in each other.
But by being completely open and honest with each other, you actually have rebuilt the trust that you have in your relationship.
That's right.
Yeah. And through your friendship that you've had since day one, those things combined have kept you strong till today.
Yeah.
That's an amazing journey, and I'm just
sitting here in awe of the two of you. Like, even now, to number one, to have that many things in your past, like one, like it's like one and done over here.
Not killing anyone anymore.
No jail time.
No jail time. No jail time.
No, and
no charges.
And there has been.
Police have never been a
I remember there was once where I told him, if you don't get out of this house, you're in danger.
You know what? After hearing your story, I'd be like, yeah, I probably would have said that a lot more than once. But it's so interesting to I don't know, the boyfriend and I are just sitting here like, wow. That's
the thing I think people don't realize, though. If at any time that we had gotten divorced, we never would have realized that you could come back from those things. Never, because at the time, it was monumental. At the time, there was so much pain. It was like, oh my gosh, there's no way. You don't really love me. Who does this to somebody they love? This can't be true. And how does this even come back? When we got back together the last time, we were just like, don't know how this is going to work out.
Don't know how long it's going to last. We're here today.
How this is supposed to happen, but let's see. Let's just see. And little by little, day by day, it came back, and it was extremely fragile because there was no trust, none. The pain was very real, and we had kids, lots of kids that we were trying to take care of, and we were still friends, but I mean, we couldn't be intimate the way that we were. It took a long time to get back to the way things were before. And there's a different level of intimacy there than there even was before.
So it's like we reached a different and deeper level of intimacy, I think so. When we weren't physically intimate.
That's right.
Because we couldn't be physically intimate without the ghost coming in the room. So you're in the bed and
there's issues.
Abigail and Susie and John,
whoever,
they're all in the bed with you,
away.
and every touch is reminding you, when you're actually doing the touching, you're thinking, did that other person touch them like this? And when you're being touched, you're remembering so-and-so touched me like this. And so you're not only affected by what you're doing to your partner, you're affected by what your partner is doing to you and how much of that stuff is creeping into your psyche to the point where we would be physical. We just like, stop. We just stop. It's like, she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, can't do it. What's wrong? Can't do it. And then we'd have to stop and we'd have to talk about why we couldn't do what we were. One of us would be like, and any given one of us, anytime one of us would be like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. Why'd you stop? Because I had to stop. Because
your head's all messed up.
My head's messed up. And so then we'd have to stop and we'd have to talk. And then maybe after a good hour, 2-hour conversation about what was going on in either one of our heads, we might be able to get back to it. We might just roll over and go to sleep and wake up the next day feeling like, I'm glad we had that talk last night. And it was better than if we had finished.
Yeah.
But that allowed us to be even more, like I said, again, the theme of being broken and coming to a relationship, stuff that comes in from your childhood, we were able to talk about that stuff, and that strengthened the friendship and being very open about everything, even to what our triggers are today, what sets me off. When am I having my weak moments? When am I on the edge where it's like, I've been able to say to my wife, I've been feeling really antsy. And what do you mean you're feeling? I'm feeling antsy. I'm worried. It's like something's not right. Something's going wrong. I feel like I'm going to cheat. Mm-hmm. I feel like something like she said, or are you happy? Like, yeah, I'm happy with you. I'm happy. I'm content. And this is the funny thing. And a lot of people may not understand it, but if you can get to the point where you can, and you'll be in good shape to say, I'm happy in my relationship because you look around, your job is doing good, your money, all that stuff is settled. I'm happy with my spouse because you're doing everything I like for you to do, and you're talking to me, and we're having fun, and we're laughing together. But I'm feeling like something's missing, and that something might be her or him or a touch from another person. And to be able to articulate that verbally as opposed to acting out upon that is monumental, because then the other person says, well, why do you think you feel like that? Why do you think you need something else? I don't know. Well, then we go deeper and we find out, well, maybe I'm not as satisfied in my job as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not getting the recognition. And maybe you aren't loving me the way I would like you to. I'm telling you, you are. I'm saying everything is okay. But the other day when I asked you for this and you gave me that, maybe I felt like you didn't really hear me, or you're not really listening to me, or you watched TV a little bit longer and I was laying in bed waiting for you to come to bed. But you dismiss those needs, and then that need that didn't get fulfilled, even though it's slight, turns into you thinking you need something else somewhere else. And so, but it wasn't, but after all that pain and us getting to that point where we don't know how long this is going to last, let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it 100% honest. And, whatever happens, happens. If we wake up and say you can't do this anymore, at least we know you gave it your all, and it's not going to be because of anybody else. It's going to be because you just couldn't do this anymore. And when we got to that stage, we start telling each other stuff like, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling this marriage. I'm not feeling being married today. Well, how do you feel? I don't feel like being married today. Well, okay. But I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just telling you I don't feel like being married today.
Wow. And to get to a place where you feel comfortable enough to speaking your truth and knowing that the other person is not going to jump down your throat.
And that's the trust that got built back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I don't know many other couples that could say that to each other and not erupt because you don't want to be married to me today. Boom.
Yeah.
But to be that honest and to have that conversation.
Or to say I feel nothing.
Or, I feel nothing is even scarier than saying you don't feel like you're being married. To literally
I feel nothing.
Look at your partner and go, what are you feeling? Nothing. I don't feel anything. What do you mean I don't feel? I'm like nothing. It's like, it's not bad. It's not good.
I feel numb.
I feel numb.
Feel nothing.
I don't know if it's because of the past or the present or it's just I ate the wrong thing for breakfast. I just don't feel nothing.
After everything that we had gone through, there was a period of time where I felt nothing. I thought, will that ever come back even for anybody? Not just my husband, but if we got divorced, would I even have anything for anybody else? Do I, am I just so broken I'm off? And that's a scary thing, because how do you stay in a relationship that's that way? And would you just hope that it comes back? You just don't know. And I really think that's where we really start to trust God, not each other, where we worked on our relationship with God. And I know not everybody believes in God, but to be honest, that's where a lot of the change came from, letting go of this person who's supposed to give you everything and going to God for that. And then treating this person as a person who's faulty and has problems and issues. And it's okay because they're not your everything. They're not supposed to be perfect. They're not supposed to be your everything. So if God is my everything, you can be my spouse.
You're my wife. And you can be my wife. You can't have this. You're not fulfilling all my needs because you were never meant to fulfill all my needs. Yeah. Because you cannot.
You can't.
You cannot fulfill all my needs. Therefore, you're not off the hook in caring about me. You're not off the hook in doing what you can do. But you're off the hook with doing what you were never supposed to do. Therefore, I can enjoy you for who you are, as you are, completely. And that's how our relationship and our friendship, like when we met, we had no intention on fulfilling everybody's needs. She just wanted a lunch. She just wanted some food.
I wanted food.
And when I met
preferably not Mexican food.
Yeah, preferably. And when I asked her to just like, let's just kick it, I just wanted to be with somebody who I just felt comfortable with, who was a friend, who was attractive, good, easy on the eyes. I could look at her. I could laugh with her. I could play with her. I could just totally relax and be myself with. Is that when all these other expectations came into play is when I started expecting her to be everything that I'd ever fantasized or imagined or yet I didn't expect her to be it, but I thought that might have been out there somewhere. I was still looking for somebody else to give it to me. But she was giving me everything I needed. And I thought the stuff that I wanted was what I needed, and what I would need it, I had. And she thought I could be the solution to things that I couldn't be the solution to and be more than what I was capable of being. And it got to the point where, look, we just like, look, this is where I am. And so when we got into our thing, when she would like go through my thoughts or ask me what I was thinking or going through my phone, I had a saying. I said, look, if you go rooting around in my garbage can, you're going to come out stinking and you're going to find garbage. There is stuff in me that is horribly jacked up. It's messed up. It's not good. And if you want to go rooting around in there, don't be surprised if you come out stinking. So I don't go in your garbage can unless I'm prepared to come out and I'm going to need to take a shower. So I stay out of your thoughts. I don't go in your diaries and stuff like that because I went in her like journal one time. I was crushed at what I read. And so I was just like, first I didn't do it, then I did it. And they're like, oh yeah, that's why I never did that.
It's so true.
That's why
you start digging for something, you will find something.
Even if it's not the thing you went looking for, you'll find something that you don't like.
Right.
And so
otherwise, why are you looking?
But the thing I think, and a lot of women get stuck in that, right? Mm-hmm. The looking and the checking and the, but you're avoiding a question. You're avoiding a conversation when you do that. And so it's been years since I looked through his stuff. I mean, a couple of years.
Years.
Because when you're looking,
just a couple.
Because when we're looking, aren't we already looking?
You already know.
No, you already know. You're just finding physical evidence.
Why drive yourself crazy? Right. Why not have the conversation? Yeah. Right? You're so afraid to have the conversation. And so, after so many years of that craziness, I look at that and I go, now you have a choice. You can go back to looking through stuff or you could have the conversation. Well, I think I'm going to have the conversation because I'm not going to drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
So, and then I remember all the stuff that happened is because we didn't have the conversation. So just, you know what? It's just better to have the conversation, even if he's going to get mad, even if you're going to get mad, even if somebody's going to yell a little bit. That's okay, because that's better than all this junk that we just went through. So we do that. And it might take a while. Like when he was trying to figure out what was wrong with me that night when he was fixing the lady's dress, I don't want to have that conversation. Who wants to tell somebody, hey, I was jealous because you were fixing a strap? I mean, that's stupid. And and feel it's stupid. And the last thing you want to do is tell somebody, that's how much I really care about you, that I'm worried about a strap. That doesn't make any sense. And, but he would need to know that. He would need to know that, one, I care that much that I'm worried about a strap. And two, he needs the opportunity to address it. And in that opportunity, I get back how much he loves me because he explains it and he tells me what's going on. And then I know that I can trust him a little bit more with not only that, but the fact that I said something so stupid and so crazy, and he still did not go screaming from the room or use it against me. And I think that is the level of trust that has been getting built little by little that means so much more, because you're just like, wow, you really are taking good care of me. I think I could relax a little bit here. This person really cares about my well-being. And I think I could tell them more stupid stuff, and then you feel like you can listen to their stupid stuff. And so you're happy to give back what the person has done for you because you're happy that they're trying. And so when he wants to do something that's a little uncomfortable for me, I'm not happy, but I'll try, and that's what we are now.
Would you say your relationship is the strongest it's ever been now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would think that foolishly, when we were younger, we thought it was the strongest when we first got married, but it's probably the weakest.
But now all barriers are broken down, and you can converse about everything. So if you can converse about everything, you are together. You're literally one now.
Yeah.
And I mean, even sitting here listening to you guys, like, you're a team telling the story. I mean, there's a few corrections here and there, but I mean, to be expected. But
this was our journey, and this is how we got here.
Yeah, because like now where we are, she's a writer and I'm an artist, so we have jobs, really day jobs, because we can't afford to be starving artists. Not with kids in college,
right.
Not anymore.
But she's a writer and I'm an artist, and part of our existence here on this planet, now we're going to get metaphysical, is to try and make the world a little bit better. I mean, everybody believes that, right? You all believe, well, I'm out here, I'm going to make the world a little bit better than when I left, when I came. So her being a writer, part of her purpose is to write about her life experience, and it's about writing about some of the stuff that I did to her, writing about her journey. Well, writing about her stuff is going to make me look real bad. And I know it. It's like, because if she's telling the truth about me, there's some truth in it. And I'm just like, could you tone that down? But it's not going to be helpful if she tones it down, which is why we decided to be honest here. But me being an artist in painting, there was a part that I had to go through when I was in school. It's like working on painting the figure. So the human figure and, developing a technique. So I had to paint nudes. And so having to be in room with nude models and things of that nature, and then developing on that skill set is like, oh, hell no. She was not cool with that at all.
That was hard.
Because my history of infidelity and sexual infidelities is like, okay, now you're going to be in rooms with naked women. So I have to respect her and put controls in that environment. But then there were times when I was doing it and there were not those controls. It's like, okay, I have to think really smart about how I'm going to do this. Not that I'm going to do anything wrong, because my
is it all male nudes?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, we almost got divorced. That was the last.
Really?
That was the last issue. Because it was over me trying to take this next step in developing my purpose and my point of being here. And so it had to go to the point where it's like, look, I've got to take this step, and I'm willing to do everything I can to make you comfortable with me taking this step and put as many safeguards as I can involved in here. Now, some things I stepped out of bounds on, plain and simple. That's where the divorce was coming from. But some things I were in bounds with, but it's like, okay, I got to take the step. And so now whenever I have to do work and she's like, okay, I see you're trying to develop your skill set and trying to develop that, and it doesn't have that other connotation to it. It is what it is. And no, I'm not comfortable with this because of the history, where she could look at a beautiful nude painting in a museum and go, wow, that's really beautiful. But you can't do that. And I really admire that artist's work. I don't want you doing it. And I have to say, well, you don't want me to be an artist. You don't want me to be who I am if you don't want me to do that. She said, yeah, I know. And we laugh. And it's like this stuff we can laugh about. But I know that that's a sensitive subject. And so I protect that, and I protect my relationship more than my selfish desire to be a better artist. And her being a writer, respecting what she must go through, but at the same time, she respects me enough to know, okay, yeah, I'm going to be brutal in this, but I'm going to let you know and let you prepare for it. I'm not going to blindside you. And, so going through what you got to go through to be who you have to be and accept the truth of that other person, it comes with a responsibility. So if somebody says, okay, I'm willing to accept you for who you are and as you are, which is all I guess I ever wanted in life, but that doesn't mean you could just wild out on me. That means you got to be respectful and you got to protect me, even though you are who you are. Which means you got to know yourself a little bit better too, to know when you're just like bugging out just a little bit. You out of bounds right now.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do now. It's like, okay, I respect her. I know who she is. I know what her weaknesses and her flaws are. She knows what my weaknesses, my flaws. And so when I'm going into dangerous territory, we have a very long conversation about, okay, this is what I'm getting ready to do. This is what it's about. This is what I hope the outcomes are going to be. And yeah, I know you're not comfortable, but this is what I want to do. And she says, well, no, I'm not comfortable. How are we going to take this next step? Mm-hmm. And so let's just take this next step. How are we going to take it? What are you going to give me to make me okay with this? How are we going to partner in this? And I'm like, hey, I'm willing to have you there with me if that's what I need to do. No, I don't want to be there with you because I'm not cool with it. And she could be honest and say, I'm vulnerable in that situation and I don't want to be in that situation. I go, okay, I respect that. So let's work it out. And like I said, these are hard conversations to have, especially when you have as much baggage as we have, as much history, as many scars.
But you're able to have them.
Yeah.
And you're able to move forward and work through them and make it work for your relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is probably more than 90. I'm going to throw out a number that means nothing, but more than the majority of the people in relationships today. They don't have those conversations. They don't have those tough
They
conversations.
won't even have the first conversation.
Yeah.
The first time trouble, a red flag or a problem arises, it's out. There's not even an attempt. And so to hear your journey is just like, oh my gosh, I'm wrapping my mind around this. This is really cool. First of all, because
I don't know if I'd say cool because it's been a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble to get through. But to see where you guys are at now, and to even imagine a relationship. I'm nothing against Leanne, but to imagine a relationship to be able to have that open, honest communication about everything. The dark stuff in the closet,
and I think
and all the fears and
everyone can.
Because everyone wants to.
Yeah.
We think everyone wants to.
Yeah.
You have to be unafraid. You have to let go of the person in order to have the person. In the sense that I love Tina very much, but I love her so much that I don't want her to be less than who she is or what she is. She loves me so much she don't want to be less than what I am and who I am. So if her being a great writer mean I have to let her go, I would rather her be a great Tina, a great Christina, and me not own her, than have her be less than herself. And I think that sentiment goes the same. And when you let go and you let go of the fear of losing the person, then you can have the conversation.
Yeah, because then we have to accept, okay, if you want to do A, B, and C, and I can't be in a relationship with A, B, and C, then I respect you and I let you go your way because I can't do that. And then the other person goes, well, wait a minute. maybe I don't need A, B, and C. Maybe I just need A and B. Yeah. and
it's different than an ultimatum.
That's right. That's
because
right.
It's more like loving with an open hand.
That's
it's
right.
like my hand is out.
Honestly speaking, I'm just telling you that this is what I think.
Yeah.
I can do and what I can't do. And then the other person doesn't have to lie. If they're trying to keep an open hand for you, they won't lie to keep you in that. And so...
and lie would be saying, oh, I'm okay with A and B and then sneak and get C.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm okay with A and B for now, but I'm telling you, I really want C. And maybe when you're ready, we can move to C. Because you're being honest and you're not ready for that yet. Okay, cool. But C is really important to me. So whatever it takes or however long time, it's no rush. Maybe we'll get to C. Maybe we'll never get to C. Yeah. But maybe we will. But it'll be when you're ready to move to that point.
But you've discussed it. Like you said, you didn't go backdoor. You didn't try to hide it.
That's
You didn't
right.
go secret. Yeah. You've had that open discussion.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people have had that open discussion. So again, the strength of your relationship and where you're at now is very impressive, given where you've come from and how you've gotten to this point.
Yeah. And if you were to, our listeners are, I'm assuming, because I don't have all the data, but are divorcees and people who didn't make it through. Mm-hmm. And I know in some cases, not everyone has a willing partner to do that.
That's right.
To do that and to
and neither
be
were
able
we
to do it
at the same time.
Yeah.
A lot.
So that was one question I had. Like, I heard you say throughout this conversation at different times, one was willing and the other wasn't, but yet you went ahead with it anyway. How?
So
how?
So I think, we say a lot that there's three people in a marriage. There's a husband, a wife, and there's God. And at the times where it was just me that wanted to work things out in the marriage, I would go to God and I would try to find out how I was supposed to be as a wife and how I was supposed to do this thing called marriage. And what I really found was the strength to be honest, the strength to admit being hurt, the strength to admit that I love somebody the way that I do, and the strength to let go. And let go knowing that whatever happens, I would be okay. And maybe I would be hurt, but I would heal. Maybe things would not go my way, but I would still be okay. And it was okay to let go. And I think, a lot of times we have the wrong impression of who God is and how God works through all the crazy people that are out there that do all the crazy things that people hate about Christians and God and beaten over the head. But he's a very loving God. He's patient. And in all the times that I drove myself crazy, he patiently waited for me to let him in, to let him heal the hurt that was in me, and to allow myself to see him as another human being.
And then for when she was ready to bounce and I was like, no, I'm not ready to let this thing go. It was like, I'll stay. It was me understanding what God says about what being a husband is. And there's nothing in the Bible that says a husband has to be prideful. And so it was really releasing the pride. So when she stepped out, I had to come to terms and I had to make a decision to forgive before she even told me that she did it. I had to make a decision to forgive before she even did it because I knew she was going to do it because I had done it and I knew where those particular steps would lead. And it was like, okay, you're going to forgive. You have to make a choice to forgive. And when you say you forgive, you can't bring it up again. But then it's the pride of knowing another man has touched something that you felt you had a lock on. And then when she came back and she didn't want to have nothing to do with me because even though I had changed, it was like, so what? I don't want to have nothing to do with you. You changed too late. It's like, okay, cool. But I'm still going to be a husband until you're gone. You're leaving. I get it. I understand. I'm fine. Cool. But I'm going to be a good husband until you leave. Until it's over, until the divorce is final, I'm going to still try and be a good husband. Not so that I could turn you and change your mind, but because this is what I should have been doing all along, period. And I'll just do it whether I keep you or not. I'll just do it. And it's going to be me and God. God tells me what to do, and I'm going to do it. So it was just all kinds of little things that, like, okay, I wanted to do the proposal I wanted to do was after the infidelity, the way I proposed. And the way I wanted to do it, I wanted to do it a certain way. And I had every reason not to do it because she had already said, I want a divorce from you. I don't want it. So why am I going to do this big elaborate show of appreciation for love for someone who said, I don't want you anymore? And I said, well, I was just told to do this. I'm going to just do it. And I'm going to do it the way it was told to do it. And so I did it that way, and it touched her heart, but it still didn't change her mind. She says, okay, I love you. And she cried and all that stuff. But a couple of days later, she was like, yeah, okay. Whatever, bro. And it was still like, okay, no, I'm just going, she said, don't touch me. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to touch you. And I just stayed in my lane and just did the husbandly thing. You hungry? Did you eat? Whatever. I showed that I cared. I treasured her. Never badmouthed her. Didn't say anything. Didn't call her such and such and so and so. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this. Didn't throw up her mistakes in my face and still tried to talk. So when we get to the point where we are now, and like we say, we get to these times where we don't feel anything, or there's nothing, or you don't feel married. The fact is you're married. And even though I don't feel like being married, that's a feeling. The feeling will pass if you just let the fact reside on top of the feeling. And you made a commitment to God in marriage, because everybody who's ever been married stood there. I don't care what religious practice you may have or do not have. If you got married in a church, you stood there with a preacher and you made a promise to God and this person. And maybe you fell out of love with God, and maybe you fell out of love with that person, but you still made a commitment. So what keeps us is we made a commitment to God as well as her. So when I'm not feeling my commitment to her, I still have my commitment to God. When I'm not feeling my commitment to God or her, she still has her commitment to God, and God's still committed to me, whether I'm committed to him or not. And so he's like, I'm not letting you go. And she's like, well, I'm not letting God go, so I'm still in. And I say, well, I'm not letting God go, and God's not letting her go, so she's still in. So eventually we find our way back to one another.
Yeah.
And that's why it is a three entity relationship. It's you, your spouse, and God. Now, if you choose not to practice religion, okay, fine. You still made the commitment. Mm-hmm. And God doesn't, no matter what we feel and what we do, he doesn't change his mind. He's like, nah, I'm not backing out. I'm not divorcing either one of you. So
I was the good one.
Right? He's like, I didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't do anything wrong. And if you're willing,
there's no argument against that.
Yeah. And if you're willing to let go of control and pride, because pride is a huge thing, especially for men. With us, it's all about our pride. Even when we are the one doing wrong and we get defensive, we're defending that impression that we wanted to give of who we were supposed to be.
Yep.
And so, how dare you do it? I'm a good guy. We put the S, we paint the S on our chest, even if it's in watercolor. And we want to be that person. And when we mess up and we get defensive because we're still trying to stick our chest out and pretend like we're this perfect being. And if you come clean, you realize that I never was that perfect person. And I had no right to think that I could be all that for you. And so when we let go of our pride, and women let go of, women have pride issues too. Like I said, not want to show that they're hurt or they're weak or they're fragile, especially to today's society. No woman wants to know that she could be hurt by a guy. Oh, no, I ain't gonna let nobody know he hurt. Neck snapping, neck weaving, finger snapping type of thing is like, no, but you hurt, right? Yeah, but I ain't gonna let him see. Okay, well, don't let him see. Okay, well, then you take everything that comes with that. But if you're willing to show some vulnerability as a woman, if you're willing to show vulnerability as a man, you go, look, I chose this person. I love this person. And, so then you can get through a lot. You can get through a lot when you get real with yourself and you choose to go ahead and get real with your partner. And for those people who have done it and think, oh man, it's a wrap for me, and I'm or either on the verge of doing it, it's like, okay, you know, chill for a minute and try something different. And the something different might just be honesty.
Yeah.
I remember once there were these movies that I used to watch that used to make me think of my old boyfriend. And he knew it. And I would just watch these movies all the time, and they would hurt him. And one day I took the movies and I wrapped them up in a present and I put them in the trash. And I gave him something to throw away. And he went to the trash and he said, "Hey, what is this?" And I said, I have no idea. And he opened up the videos in the trash and he just started crying. And I was just like, you know, we sometimes forget that men have a heart. We look the other way when they're hurt or whatever. And that to me always stands out as a moment where I realized, you know, the feelings were there and it was not fair for me to ignore them too, you know, to pretend that he didn't have them just because he didn't show it as overtly as maybe a woman would. And so there's things like that. You just need to acknowledge and nurture and just say, you know, okay, I realize where I'm hurting you. I realize where I could do better and here. And just those little things would make a difference.
There's so many lessons to be learned from you too. There's so much. And thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. I think even if after going through divorce, I mean, we're always going to have other relationships.
That's
and
right.
There's always another opportunity to work on these things and come to terms with who we are as people and what our own broken pieces are to fix. So this is really just like mind blowing on so many levels. And I'm I have we could do 5 episodes out of this because just do that. But I mean, been thinking like, how this affected, you have 7 kids and they're on all different levels and everything. And
it's a interesting thing because when we were going through some of our worst times, okay, we are the parents who didn't argue in front of the kids. So we never fought violently in front of our children. We only had maybe 2 fights in our marriage, really, that were like one, the babies were babies, and I got smacked. And 2, they were little kids, and I got smacked. But I let you hit me that time because you were heated and I was way wrong. But we didn't fight, and we never called each other out our names in front of our kids or raised our voices at each other in front of our children. However, I say that point because we thought we were keeping things concealed. We weren't.
Kids know.
No.
Yeah.
Kids know, and kids feel because they see us in our good times and they see the way we are, and when we're going through our dark times, they see the way we're not behaving towards one another. Because when we're at our best, we lavish love on each other. When we were at our worst, it was like, yeah, that person's gone. Okay, so what? Dad's not home yet. So what? Mom's gone out of town. Good. It wasn't saying it, but the attitudes and the physical body language was like, okay, she's gone. Whatever.
And they pick up on it.
Yeah.
And
they pick up on it. And so
they did.
They developed
during the last
2009,
one, 2014. The youngest ones didn't do so well in school.
Yeah, there's their academic performance. Our oldest one in 2009. She started to retreat. She fell into a relationship with a kid, and she tried to make everything. She accepted some behavior. She's in high school, and she just dove off the deep end and stopped listening to us. And she basically tuned us out because it was better for her. The other ones got kind of. I mean, they all took a dip in their performance in school.
They were sad.
They were sad because they could see her sad and they could see me sad, and they're like, okay, mom and dad are sad. What's going on? So even in our best pretense, with our best faces on, they still were affected.
And we just had to be honest.
And because we would tell them the truth about where things were, not to hurt them, but when we were talking about divorce, we said, okay, daddy's going to go away for a little while. Well,
we did stop saying divorce. So there was a time where we said a couple of times that we were going to get a divorce and we didn't. And so we stopped doing that. We did not tell them about divorce. We might say that we're having some trouble, or we might say, they might see somebody sleeping on the couch, and we would say,
in the garage. Dad, why are you in the garage? Well, I'm
Daddy
in the garage
messed up.
Because I messed up. And I tell my sons, I'm like, okay, dude, this is what you're going to go through with the women. You're going to mess up, and you got to own it, and you got to take it. And I'm in the garage. And then when I was staying at a friend's house, I had a house. I had his house. I went and grabbed all my boys. I said, okay, come on, Dad, what's going on? I said, you guys come stay with me tonight. They came and we like, come on, we're gonna have a boys' night, and we talked about. I said, look, anything you want to talk about, let's talk about it. This one, they're like, all right, cool, you here? We laugh, we joke, we had pizza, and they're like, okay, so how long you gonna be here? I'm like, dude, I don't even know. I don't even know which way this thing is going.
And he's my friend, so there was never a time. I mean, I know there in some marriages and relationships where things go really south and they just attack one another. We were friends, and there was never a time where I kept him from the kids or he kept me from the kids. There was never a time where they saw me attack him or him me. We still played together with the kids. Even when we thought we were going to get divorced. We're just silly.
Then when it was time to go to bed, it was time to put everybody to bed. It's like, all right, go to bed. It's like, all right. She said, all right, good night. And I'd leave. And I would just leave. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going over and sleep in this cold, empty house, and I'd make a big dramatic scene.
I was just going to say, sometimes it wasn't just that. Right. It was.
The house like, is really? Cold, and it's so lonely over there, and there's nobody. And she's like, yeah, okay, bye. That's your fault. And she was like, this is what I'm saying. We would go in on, she's like, that's your fault. He would make me tell him
to leave every time, knowing I could not always say it. Like it was so messed up. He'd go, so do you want me to go? And I'd be like, of course I want you to go. Okay, go. Yes, please go. And then he might go out and do something in the kitchen for 15 minutes and then come back and so you want me to go? And I'm like, you just gonna
until you came.
Yeah.
So it just didn't make any sense. Like, fine, it's 3:00 in the morning. You might as well just lay down. I got to be back at 6 to take the kids to school. You sure you want me to leave?
Yeah, he would constantly do that. And
I was constantly pushing up on it.
Oh yeah,
especially when she didn't want me, I was pushing up on it.
Oh yeah, in counseling, I remember in counseling, don't touch me. So they asked us, what we wanted, and I said, I don't want him to touch me. And I said, don't touch me at all. Don't touch my hand. Don't touch my anything. Don't touch me at all. And they said, okay, Larry, can you do that? And he's like, and he said yes. And so was it a week?
A month.
No, was it a month?
No, it was supposed to be. It was
supposed to be. Well, okay, I didn't make a month.
She didn't make a month.
I didn't make the month. So I didn't realize how much what we communicated was through touch, right? And so he was not allowed to touch me. It was supposed to be for a whole month. And there was something, you also had to stay in the garage, had to sleep in the garage. And so I felt like he just kept pushing up on me, and I, didn't respect my space, and, and so he had to sleep in the garage. So I didn't have to tell him every night that he had to go out in the garage. So he had to sleep in the garage, and he could not touch me. So when he was upset about something, I would touch his hand, or I would hold his hand. And then I realized when I went to go talk to him, I couldn't touch him and I couldn't hold his hand. So you had to say the words for, how you felt, because you couldn't convey it in a touch. And so I was just like, how much did I lose by saying you can't touch me and I can't touch you? And so how long was it? 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks? I caved.
So in the garage, for your listeners, it wasn't like I was sleeping up under the car or nothing. I mean, it was converted into a studio for my pain.
There was a bed there.
I had a bed and a couch, a very comfortable couch. So.
Now I have to change my whole picture.
It wasn't like purgatory. It was like a really small bathroomless studio apartment, and so it was like comfortable. So she came, she couldn't touch me. So 2.5 weeks, like 3 o'clock in the morning, she comes knocking on the door. I'm like, what? I'm like trying to get. I finally got used to being out there, and it was wintertime, I think it was. Finally got used to being out there and getting to sleep, and she comes, I can't sleep. I'm like, so I'm in the garage. Why do you think I feel? And she's like, and she crawls in bed and crawls up under me. I'm like, okay, this is you, right? This ain't me.
He said, make sure you tell the counselor that
you did this. You crawled into my bed. Okay, I had nothing to do with it. And so from then on, and again, we laughed about it all the way there. Talked through counselor, we laughed all the way home. So every time we go to counselor, it's like, yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I'm telling you did this. You invaded my space. You encroached upon my independence. I was trying to work through my stuff. You wouldn't give me no space to work through my stuff.
Well, this has been really awesome. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. And I hope our listeners enjoyed it as much as we did, because I'm going to be thinking about you guys like all the time.
Well, what our listeners didn't see is again, you guys were touching here.
Yeah.
You were holding each other's hands, talking about these experiences and going through it. So you guys actually are a team going through this, and you are one. You are a much stronger relationship.
Much
and it's amazing to see from everything you guys have come from.
Yeah.
Or been through.
This has been absolutely incredible, and I'm looking forward to see where you guys go from here, what your next 25 years looks like.
Old.
Yes.
Slow, relax.
Slowly but surely, the children are growing up. We only have 2 in high school now,
and then
5 in college.
Well, maybe we'll have to have them on the pod. We'll have to have them on the podcast. We'll have to get more mics.
Serious, it'd be crowded in here.
Insanity.
No, this has truly been really, really awesome having you both here, and I'm so glad I met you. And thanks for sharing so many.
Yeah, thanks for
so
your
many
Thank
lessons.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Right. Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.